Hello. Welcome to the Joe Luca Real Estate Show. I am Joe, and I'm your host every Tuesday evening from 6 to 7 o'clock p.m. right here on WNRI 99.9 on the FM dial, 1380 on the AM dial. You can also check us out on WNRI.com. We stream. Yes, we are in the 21st century. We stream around the world at WNRI.com. And we actually rebroadcast the show every Saturday afternoon at 1 p.m. And that's right here on 99.9 FM, 1380 on the AM dial. If you haven't tuned in before, I'm a realtor. I'm not just a real estate agent. I'm a realtor. That's a professional designation. And that indicates that when you're a realtor, you have to comply with a code of ethics. If you're a licensee, just a real estate agent, you don't have to comply with the code of ethics. You just have to make sure that you do not break the law, which is kind of gives you a lot of latitude. So I work with buyers and sellers of residential and commercial property in Rhode Island and Massachusetts. And I have a team of other realtors around the country and in other countries around the world that I have as part of my referral network. I'm a certified international property specialist, and I'm an accredited buyer representative. So I have this network of colleagues. So if you were looking to buy or sell something in Georgia or Florida or South Carolina, wherever it is, California, I could connect you with a realtor in your specific area that would do a great job taking care of you, whether you're buying or selling. Of course, if you're buying or selling in Rhode Island or Massachusetts, I would love to work with you or hear from you. Just have the opportunity to help you achieve your real estate goals. I work at RE/MAX Preferred. My number is 401-409-5030. Again, 401-409-5030. You can text me or call me at that number, and I'll answer any questions you have. Even if you're not ready to do something now and you're like, well, Joe, I'm just starting out, I'm renting, or I just got my job, I want to prepare so that I can buy something down the road, it's never too early to start the process. Okay, and one thing that people don't always realize is you need to have a minimum employment history in order to qualify for a mortgage. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that later on in the show. But you as a buyer obviously need to qualify for the mortgage. And then also the home that you're buying, the house, needs to qualify for the mortgage as well. There are minimum housing guidelines for different types of mortgages that the property needs to comply with. So we'll talk a little bit about that too. Okay, I want to just touch base, go to my weekly visit to Mortgage News Daily, and the rates quoted on that today for 30-year fixed rate are 7.07. A 30-year FHA is 6.47, and the VA is 6.49. So these are, I quote from this site every week. It's always the same. So you may be able to get a rate higher or lower from the lender that you work with. The ultimate rate you would get would depend on several different factors, one of which is your credit history, the type of home you're buying, whether it's a single family, multifamily, condo, second home, vacation home, investment property, etc. And also how much you're putting down, what your debt to income ratio is, the ratio of how much debt you have every month in payments compared to how much your gross income is every month. But I'm going to, not talk too much more about that because I am the real estate guy, and I can answer any questions you have and help you negotiate transactions to your benefit when it comes to real estate. Okay, I stay in my lane, and I know what my limitations are. And I'm not a mortgage finance guy. I'm not an electrician. I'm not a plumber. I'm not a roofer. I'm certainly not an appliance repair person. I can't give you any value to those types of things, but I can refer you to my vendor partners who are very good in those areas. Okay, so that's typically what I do when I work with folks who are buying a home or selling a home, and I will give you a group of people that you can choose from, if it's lenders, home inspectors, etc. That being said, once again, we have another awesome guest. We have a very special, very privileged to have a special guest tonight, the mortgage wrestling dad, Michael Waldron. Michael, welcome to the Joe Luca Real Estate Show.
Hi, Joe. Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Mike, we've known each other for a while now. We've had different meetings. We've talked a lot. We've shared a lot of different war stories, just so to speak, about challenges as the market transitions in today's business cycle, and it's very different than it was 5-6 years ago, certainly different than it was 10 years ago, 13, 14, 15 years ago. And there is opportunities and challenges for home buyers and home sellers. Now, if you could please tell us a little bit about where you work, introduce yourself to our listeners.
So my name is Michael Waldron. I work on Semper Home Loans with the solutions team, with my team leader, Daniel Giroux. We have Sean Bartlett on there as well, and Liz Damiano. Very, very solid team of people that I work with.
Yep. Good. And now, what if someone wanted to reach you? What's a good number they could reach you at?
My number is 774-400-7745.
Oh, nice and easy. Good. Say that again.
774-400-7745.
Now, I had Mike repeat that number because you're probably going to want to give him a call later, because Mike's got a lot of different things that we can talk about tonight. Now, not just mortgages, not just housing, but Mike's a real family guy. He's involved in, he's got 2 daughters. One's a baby and one's a little bit older, 8 years old. And he's very involved in their athletic development, well, at least the 8-year-old, not the baby. And and he's known as the mortgage wrestling dad because, Michael was a wrestler and he's very passionate. He takes pride in physical fitness and helping his daughter become a wrestler too. And, I know you have your reasons for, and we shared this a little bit before we came on air, why it's important for daughters to, be athletically developed. Tell us a little bit about how you do that, or why you do that.
Well, yes, like you said, I was a lifelong wrestler, Pennsylvania state champ, amongst other things, other accolades I have in the wrestling community. Wrestling, girls wrestling in particular, happens to be the fastest female growing sport in both high school and college. The NCAA just sanctioned it as a 92nd championship sport. So
wow.
Divisions 1, 2, and 3 have it now. It's been in the Olympics for a while. But, one of the great things about that is, as a girl dad, because, I only make girls.
Right, yeah.
That's all I do.
Me too, yeah.
So I'm a big proponent of female self-defense, and also it's such a great sport, and if she can be able to defend herself, she's only 8, so we're talking, college scholarships are obviously a little ways off and stuff, but she's very good, she's very good at her age, and she just won another tournament this year, beat 3 boys to take first place. So
excellent.
Very proud father, and trying to teach her discipline, physical fitness, motivation, and hard work pays off. She has the state championships coming up in less than 2 weeks now. And the deal is, if she gets on the podium there, Daddy's taking her to Disney World for the first time.
Wow, excellent.
Yeah, trying to teach her that, hard work pays off.
Yep. So now that's something, so the hard work, that carries over to, you're hardworking, you're, mortgage professional, and you've actually been kind of successful in blending the two together, networking with other parents, and because you mentioned before too, you referee local, wrestling events.
Yes. So I referee high school wrestling. I also referee youth wrestling as well. Our team actually has a program where any referrals from the wrestling community, we will donate 10% of our net commission back to the nonprofit youth wrestling program that they're associated with. So, we're trying to help grow wrestling around here and, give back to the community at the same time. I also help coach my daughter's team. So whatever we can do to, help grow the community, and, that's one way of networking, getting my name out there, and, giving back, really. Because, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, and that's right, exactly. It's very important, because one thing that I've observed about you is, you're passionate about, obviously, your daughter and her wrestling, but you're also passionate about your career, your business, and your clients. You take a lot of pride in caring for your clients in the sense that they're not just a file, they're not just a record number or whatever it is. They are, or just an application. You really become invested, so to speak, in their home purchase process.
Yeah, like prior to this, I was working in the post office overnight, working all night long, trying to doing mortgages during the day. And what I found was there was a certain satisfaction to the soul, per se.
Yeah.
When I'm sure you've experienced it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Working with people who never thought that they'd be able to buy a house,
Yeah.
and going to the closing, because you develop a relationship with these people throughout.
Mm-hmm.
And just seeing the look on the wife's face, the father with his chest out being very proud and everything else, and you could tell that you made a difference in their life.
Yeah.
One of the things that I do, I was talking to one of my clients today, and he had spoken with a couple of other lenders prior to me,
Mm-hmm.
and all they did was send him an application link.
Right.
That's what they did. That's what they did. And I sat on the phone with him. I took his application over the phone.
Yep.
I answered all of his questions, and because he had a lot of questions,
Mm-hmm.
and I explained to him that, hey, this is the type of service that we provide here at Semper Home Loans and on the solutions team.
Yeah.
Just being available.
Yeah.
I mean, there's other lenders I know who refuse to pick up their phone over the weekends.
Yeah.
I don't mind answering my phone if I'm out in the Cape on the
Mm-hmm.
beach with the family and I get a call on a Sunday afternoon. Yeah, I'm going to step away for 20 minutes because
Mm-hmm.
that's the least I can do.
Yeah.
It's the largest purchase in
Most people's life,
99% of the population's life.
That's right.
I mean, the job gives us a lot of freedom
Mm-hmm.
to be able to work from anywhere. The least I can do is take a 20-minute phone call, step away.
Yeah.
Exactly.
There's something as big as that, and I always tell my clients too. It's like in a perfect, air quotes, perfect situation, it's still stressful because you're picking up, even if you're paying cash or you have a huge deposit, your financing is all set. It's still a stressful situation because you have to pick up all of your stuff and have it relocated to another place, and you have to uproot your spouse if you have one, your kids, your pets, whatever it is, and you have to relocate all of that stuff. Make sure everything happens. If it's something like just that the movers arrive when they're supposed to, if it's the making sure the utilities are turned on and off, the cable, etc. It can be a stressful endeavor. And if part of my job is being cool, calm, and collected throughout the transaction. Even if people are freaking out, I need to remain calm, because if I'm freaking out, what's that going to do to them? It's going to really escalate. And I solve problems. I help people when there are surprises that come up in real estate. And as Mark Gertzikov and I were talking about last week, there is never a good surprise when it comes to a real estate transaction. Whenever there's a surprise, it's not good. However, they do develop. And it's my job and my vendor partners' jobs, if it's the lender, if it's the closing and title attorney, whomever it is, we work to resolve the problem as best as possible for the benefit of the parties involved. Okay, so that's part of what it is, and it takes a lot of passion. And when it happens right, it's very rewarding. And because people are moving from one place, even if it's a sad situation, a divorce or a death or whatever, they're moving on to a new beginning in their life. New challenges and new rewarding experiences. So it's a good thing, but it is stressful. And part of our job as real estate professionals is to mitigate the I'm Italian, the agita factor, the stress factor that a lot of folks experience during their home purchase or home sale. All right, folks, if you're just tuning in, it's about 21 minutes past the hour. You're listening to the Joe Luca Real Estate Show right here on WNRI 99.9 FM, 1380 on the AM dial, and of course on WNRI.com streaming. We are here every Tuesday, 6 to 7 p.m. We rebroadcast the show Saturdays at 1 p.m. So there are many opportunities for you to hear the Joe Luca Real Estate Show. And also you can find it in video format on LinkedIn, YouTube, and then also the Cup of Joe Luca Facebook page. So there are multiple opportunities to learn or listen or educate yourself about real estate via the Joe Luca Real Estate Show. I want to thank our sponsors. Of course, we have Anthony Betancourt at Compass Title and Escrow and his team over there. Compass Title and Escrow does a great job taking care of our clients, whether the buyer side or the seller side. They take the time to explain everything. It's, not a wham, bam, in and out in 20-minute closing. It takes an hour because they explain everything. I've gone to closings and the attorneys, they talk so fast. I've been to hundreds and hundreds of closings, and it's fast for me to keep track of what they're saying. Imagine if it's someone who's only bought this is their first or second house. Okay, we don't have that problem with Compass Title and Escrow, taking the time to educate the consumer. Also, I want to do a shout out to our other sponsor, G-Metz Moving and Storage. Go to gmetsmoving.com. You can get a price quote on a move, or you can actually schedule the move. You just go to the website, gmetsmoving.com. Please check them out. They do an awesome job. All of their workers are employees. They're not people that they hire on Craigslist or any other temporary job site like that. They are employees. That means they've worked for the company for a long time. They know what they're doing, and they care for your belongings as if they were their own. Okay, they have a lot of respect for them. They're fully insured. They're licensed. If you're moving from Woonsocket to Westerly or Rhode Island to Florida, G-Metz Moving can help you out. Check them out at gmetsmoving.com. And of course, Vern Rainville, Public Insurance Adjuster. Vern is licensed by the state of Rhode Island to be a public insurance adjuster. Whether it's a claim that you're just putting in now or something that could have happened as much as 2 years ago, give Vern a call, because he may be able to find out if you're entitled to more money than the insurance company may want to pay you, because he works for you, the homeowner, not the insurance company. Give him a call, 484-300-8495. Again, that's 484-300-8495. If you have any questions about a claim and you're not sure if you should submit it or not, Vern is a resource. He's an encyclopedia. Give him a call, 484-300-8495. Vern Rainville, Public Insurance Adjuster. All right, getting back to business. So we were talking about interest rates. The 30-year fix, it's up over 7%, 7.07. It's a lot higher than we've been in the past. Not as high as we have been recently, and it's certainly well below the historic average of 8% for a 30-year fixed rate mortgage. But, people still have in their head those low interest rates of a few years ago, the 3% and 4%, and those are great rates, but we may not, ever get there again. And one thing for sure is that the prices of homes are continuing to increase. So the equity accumulation is increasing. So people who bought a house a year ago, they value that house again. It's worth anywhere from 9, 10, 11% more than it was 12 months ago without doing anything to it. If you're adding value, it's going to be even a bigger number than that. Okay, so if you have a question about the value of your home, just give me a call, 401-409-5030. Again, Joe Luca, Luca, 401-409-5030, and I'll answer any questions you have. Send you a free property analysis of your home. Doesn't cost anything. It's free information. And then if you want to do something with it, great, we can meet in person, and I can help you out. Okay. So I want to, as I mentioned earlier, we have our guest, Michael Waldron from Semper Home Loans. Michael he's very passionate about his career and his clients, and he takes good care of them. And, as much as we try, we can't always find a home for our clients, in my case buyers, because maybe they're just not qualified for enough. They don't make enough income, and sometimes that can be a challenge. But then part of our job is to hey, maybe you can find another way, get another job, get a partner, bring someone in. Mike, have you experienced anything like that where you've had clients who have not had adequate income to buy a home in this market because houses are just so expensive?
Yeah, I mean that's one of the big hurdles we run into. Certainly is, the monthly income there. Another problem that we tend to see, and a lot of people tend to make this mistake, is I see a lot of this, is that people buy the expensive car before they buy the house.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when we take a look at the credit, I see the wife with a $650 car payment.
Right.
I see the husband with his brand new truck with the $800 car payment. I mean, there's $1,550 that takes away from your buying power each month.
Yep.
And if I tell them beforehand, hey, don't buy the brand new car first. Buy the house, then you can buy the car, because the auto dealerships aren't worried about your debt to income like we are.
Yeah.
We're restricted by federal guidelines and limitations. So if all of your money is $1,500 a month is going to a car payment, it's going to be hard to buy a house.
Yeah.
Especially, as you said, with the prices the way they are. They are high.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned federal guidelines. So, for our listeners who aren't aware, there are, mortgages are like cars. There's lots of different models and manufacturers in cars, and there's a lot of different mortgage products available too. So there's there's Fannie Mae, there's Freddie Mac, USDA, and what am I missing? VA loans.
Correct.
And you work with all of those products, right?
Yes, we work with all of those products. We do them very well. Like I said, fortunately, I've got a great team behind me.
Yeah.
You've had Daniel on here, Daniel Giroux. He's excellent. He's probably the best mind in mortgages I've ever seen. Very, very impressive.
Yeah, it's appropriately named the solutions team, because you guys are very good about finding solutions to problems that buyers may have.
Yep. If there was a problem, we'll solve it.
Yeah. Yeah. And because now you also work with, we had mentioned, we were talking before about investors. You work with buyers who are looking for investment properties. And you have a product called the DSCR loan. Talk a little bit about that for investors who may be listening.
Yeah, correct. Those programs are excellent. They're no employment, no income verification, non-owner occupied programs, so it cannot be a primary property. The big difference between these and a conventional mortgage is that on these programs, we're not worried about debt to income, okay, because the income is generated from the rents of the property.
Right.
An appraiser will go in there, they'll determine market rent. As long as market rent is equal to or greater than the mortgage, obviously you want it to be cash flowing if you're going to make the investment, then we're good to go on those.
Yeah.
Those programs are all asset and credit driven. One, is there money in the bank? Two, do you have a good credit score?
Yeah.
Okay.
And those are for, and as you said, those are investment properties. So those are for folks who are buying a property and they're not going to live there. So could that be for if someone's buying a condominium as an investment property, or is it more for multifamilies and commercial properties?
Typically, the way I'm seeing it is most of the time these people are using it for multifamilies. We could do it with single families. Condos are a little bit of a different animal.
Okay. Good to know.
Something we have to dig into a little bit more.
Right. Yeah, so that's something we've talked about before, is that, when I mention interest rates, these are interest rates for people who have the best credit. They're buying a single family home that they're going to live in. But every deviation away from that, if you don't have good credit, or it's an investment property, or it's a condo, or it's a multifamily, these are all things that can make that interest rate increase.
Well, as you know, you're in the business. Condos are a different animal altogether.
Yeah.
It has to be warrantable. We're not gonna dive into serious detail on it, but that's more of a conversation, and it's more of research that you and I both have to do before we give a green light on a condo. So there's it's a little different than buying a single family, multifamily, even an investment property, especially if you're looking to go with Fannie or Freddie or something like that.
Yeah. So folks, that condominiums can appear to be an attractive option because I don't have to mow the lawn, I don't have to deal with removing snow, and they take care of all of the maintenance on the asset. That's true, but there are other challenges with condominiums. One is you of course have to pay for that via the condo fee, so that's factored in as well. You still have to pay for your property taxes. Now some condominiums, you have to pay for your own water and sewer, and then other condominiums, it's part of the monthly condo fee. And I think that's that's good, because man, I'll tell you, the water bills and sewer bills can be crazy.
Electricity too.
Yeah, yeah. Well, usually electricity is separate. The owner pays for that. That's usually not paid for by the condo association. But it's not for everybody. And you have to. I was talking with a woman yesterday, a buyer, and she's looking around, and she said, yeah, she would consider a condo. And I was like, okay. And then she said, a single family. She said, but I don't want to have people right next to me. I want a yard, and I want this, and I want that. And I was like, all right, doesn't sound like what you're describing would be a good condominium purchase, because you're usually sharing a wall or a floor or a ceiling with your neighbor when you're in a condominium. And the little bit of land that's available is usually shared with your neighbors. So that may not be the best bet. This particular buyer, she was referred to me from another lender, she does not have a lot of income, so she may have to make a tough decision about having neighbors on the other side of the wall, because I don't know that she's going to be able to find a house in the price range that she needs to find. And that's the tough thing about my job and your job, because when you've got to tell someone, it's like, I'm sorry, you don't qualify, you don't have enough income to qualify to buy a little tiny house. So you're going to have to buy something else, or you have to get a second job, or you have to bring in a partner or something like that, because it can be, it's a tough conversation to have,
Yeah, I've actually, believe it or not, I've actually written a mortgage with the mother, the father, and two 20-year-old daughters on them. We had 4 people on this mortgage.
Wow.
Yep, 4 people in order to get them qualified for this. And when you're in the mortgage biz and you're trying to find a 2-year work history for two 20-year-old daughters, it's not always the easiest thing to do.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that's right.
That's where a little perseverance and determination.
That's where you need a solutions team.
Yeah, pays off, because some of them were working 3 or 4 jobs in the last 2 years, and you have to get history for all of them, the dates worked, and sometimes they'll say, well, I don't remember the dates worked. Well, how am I supposed to know if you don't know?
Yeah. And when you say dates worked, that means the dates that you began at the job and when you finished at that job. So that's folks, we were talking about before, a lot of lenders, they need an employment history. And I have someone that I think I talked about last week or the week before, and she had gotten divorced like a year and a half ago, so she didn't have a 2-year history of employment, because she was only working part-time before that, and now she's working full-time, but she doesn't have the employment history, so she's going to have to wait. So she rented an apartment for a year, and then she'll be ready to do something in a year.
Well, interesting that we're talking about this, because some people don't know this, but let's say you're in school for nursing, okay? You're just graduated nursing school, you get the job that you want.
Yep.
We can use your school transcripts for a 2-year work history.
Oh, really?
Yep. As long as you're in the field, in the same field that you studied. So, nursing would be a good example of that. If somebody, went to nursing school for 4 years, they get out, they get a good job, we can use that college transcript as a 2-year work history.
See, folks, I always talk about this. I like to hang around with people that are smart, and because I get to learn something every time I hang out with these people. I never knew that. I've been in the business so long. I've done so many different types of financing options. I was not aware of that. That's great. See, this is why, folks, the solutions team at Semper Home Loans, our guest Michael Waldron, Dan Giroux and Liz Damiano and Sean McDermott, they're all, a great team over there.
Sean Bartlett.
I'm sorry, Sean Bartlett. Sean McDermott, I think he's an actor.
So that's Dylan McDermott.
Apologies, right. So, yes, so it's worth working with an experienced, knowledgeable, resourceful team of lenders like you guys. So if folks wanted to reach you, what's a good number they could reach you at again?
774-400-7745.
That's nice and easy to remember. So, folks, if you are thinking about buying a home, you're not sure if you're ready, let's say you're in college and you want to start planning ahead, let's say you're in nursing school, let's say, you're going to be graduating the next either May or June is, or even next year. Start planning now and give Michael a call, because he can put together a game plan for you. And then he'll check in with you every month, every 2 months, to make sure you're doing the things you need to do. If it's trying to earn more money, if it's paying down some debt, if it's improving your credit score, because that way, when you are ready to pull the trigger, you'll be able to get the best mortgage rate possible because you prepared. Fail to prepare, prepare to fail. That's something we've all heard over the years. And when it comes to buying and selling real estate, that's certainly true as well. You need to prepare for your home purchase and your home sale, or your home sale. One of the things that I try to do is, with my clients, is I always to make it easier, I will refer them. I'll give them names of great lenders. I'll give them names of great title and closing companies, names of a couple of home inspectors, and that way they can choose who they want to work with. It's all of these people are good. Call them up, talk to them, whoever you like. You won't make a bad decision because I've worked with them before. There are a lot of times I try to discourage people from using lenders who are halfway across the country, because I'm big on communicating during the transaction. And if I call a lender and don't hear back, and I text a lender and don't hear back, and I email the lender and don't hear back, I start to get nervous. I start twitching, okay? And worst case scenario, if it's someone who's local and they're not getting back to me, one, I could probably call their superior, or two, I can go knock on their office door and say, hey, what's going on? But if they're in Missouri or Lansing, Michigan, I can't do that. And they'll just continue to ignore. I mean, I had a deal, this is a million years ago, but it was with a big national lender, and I represented the buyer. And the mortgage company would not talk to me. And I said, listen, I need to get a mortgage pre-approval. I need a mortgage commitment for our client, because we have to let the homeowner know, the seller of this property, and in this particular case, the buyer was actually the tenant, but we needed to let them know that, hey, they're going to be buying this house. Because if they weren't, then the landlord is going to be like, all right, if you're not buying the house, your lease is up, you need to start preparing to move out, and we have to get another tenant in there. Okay? But this particular company, their offices were across the country, they were not returning my phone call. Okay? And that's not good. I've had other times where there are folks, again, who don't get back to me, and I've said, hey, listen, we're both on the same team here. I've been trying to get in touch with you for 5 days. If I don't hear from you by a certain day and time when I have my radio show, I'm going to let all of my listeners know how you take care of your clients.
Really? How did that go?
I got a phone call back in 45 minutes.
I'm sure you did.
Yeah.
I'm sure you did, but it's
and it was one of those things. It's like the signature line on this particular individual's email had like 45 people. It was 45 lines long with the names of people and their phone numbers and their this and their that and what they did, which didn't mean anything to me because no one was. It was actually more frustrating because no one was getting back to me. And it's like I was talking into a vacuum. Okay? What do you think about that, Mike?
Well, that's good. That's funny that you brought that up. A couple of years back, I was working with a client, and I'm not going to mention the national mortgage company that he was working with. But his realtor called me and told me that he was considering going with this other company, because the loan estimate that they provided was $436 cheaper than the loan estimate that I provided. Mm-hmm. Well, I talked to my client. I asked him to send over the loan estimate, took one quick look at it, made one circle on there, and I said, well, that's because they have your property taxes listed for $50 here. Your property tax on this actual specific property is $486, which explains the difference.
Yeah.
So, I mean, everybody knows. You're not going to see $50 property taxes in Massachusetts. That is not going to.
I don't think anywhere.
You know,
Yeah.
so yeah, it looked pretty on paper, but you know, that's why it's important to work with somebody local, somebody who understands the market, and somebody will answer the phone.
Yeah.
Somebody will answer the phone.
Yeah. Because when you're dealing with these national lenders, all you are is a file. Okay, you're just a file number, and they have proverbial, stack of folders, if we still did that kind of paperwork, but in their, on their computer, they have all these different folders for all these different clients, and you're not a person. You're just, maybe there's a name on that folder and there's a loan number, but they don't know anything about you. They don't sit down with you and meet with you. They don't know where the house is. Okay, Mike, if he's talking with someone and they're buying a house and they're in there, was it Braintree? Where were we talking before? Where did you drive up to? You had to meet a client. He will go there to do it and meet. He'll go the extra yard, pun intended, to service the client, to make it easier for the client. And a lot of times folks, they're not comfortable doing things digitally. They don't know how to scan, things like that. So sometimes it's more practical to just drive out there and help them out, meet them in person. But if you're working with someone halfway across the country, they're not going to fly out here to get hard copies of your paperwork.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I'm sure you can agree with this. I mean, all of my clients are at this point my friends.
Mm-hmm.
We're friends on Facebook. They have questions. I had a client call me up today that I closed a loan for a year and a half ago, asking me questions about his taxes. Yeah, and of course I picked up. I liked them very much. I was at their closing, and you build a friendship with these people.
Yeah.
You really do.
Yeah, it's true, because you spend a lot of time with them, and you hear what their personal, what their values are, their needs, their wants, and their challenges. So it's important to be sensitive to that, so that you know how you can better serve them with their home search or what they're looking for in the sale of their home. I was talking with an attorney today, and we were talking about highest and best offers, and they wanted me as an expert witness for this case. And a lot of times a seller, I shouldn't say a lot of times, sometimes a seller does not choose the highest priced offer. They're under no obligation to sell their home for the most money, or to the buyer that offers the most money. One, because there are these things called terms, and they may not like the terms of that offer. So maybe somebody's offering $50,000 more, but it's subject to appraisal, subject to inspection, subject to financing. They're not putting a lot of money down, or whatever it is. And then you have another offer that comes in $50,000 less, and big deposit, inspections for informational purposes only. They waive the appraisal. Much more secure transaction. Now, if I'm selling my house and I want to get into another house, or let's say it's an estate sale, I just want to get it over with, or selling Grandma or Uncle Bob's house, we just want to get it done. Many times they'll be like, you know what, I don't want to go to a bidding war. I don't want this thing to drag out. Let's just buy this. We'll get it done in 30 days and be happy. And that's the prerogative of the seller or sellers. Buyers might be upset saying, well, I offered so much more than that house. Well, yes, but clearly the seller did not like your offer as much as another buyer's offer. So, don't be disillusioned that the highest offer is going to be the best. Because again, as I alluded to, if it's a high offer and it's subject to financing, it's subject to appraisal, if you're offering $700,000 for a house and nothing else in the neighborhood sold for more than $650,000, don't be surprised if that house doesn't appraise. Now, if you had an offer for $650,000 from someone else, that may be a better offer, because especially if they're putting a bigger deposit down, because if it doesn't appraise, they can reallocate some of those funds to cover the shortfall, the appraisal gap. Okay, these are the things too that we as realtors, we will incorporate into offers, or we will evaluate the validity and strength of an offer based on appraisal, gap coverage, if there is any, the size of the deposit, who the lender is. You know, folks, I have chosen offers and advised my client, okay, I've highlighted offers and advised my client, this is a good offer because I know this lender, and this is good because they do a thorough job of pre-approving. They almost underwrite the loan during the pre-approval process. Whereas if there's a loan that comes in, or excuse me, a buyer that comes in with a pre-approval from someone else, especially if it's from someone far away or one of these big national institutions, you know, I don't know anything about that lender, that specific loan officer, and if something goes wrong, I have no recourse. Okay. And I had a situation a few years ago where I had a buyer, they came in and they were working with one of these big national companies, and they had a pre-approval, and they did not want to go with a different lender. I tried to get them to go with a local person. No, this is our guy. Okay, great. So we went, we put offers in, didn't get them, put offers in. Finally, I had one accepted. And then it comes time when you have to get the mortgage commitment letter from the lender saying that, okay, we are going to lend the money to this buyer so they can purchase this property. And this was about a week before we were set to close. And I received a fax, we will not provide a mortgage commitment letter for this purchase, cannot do the loan, etc., etc. I couldn't believe it. Called up, and these particular buyers were doctors, and they were supposed to be getting a doctor loan. There's a different product, a special product for folks who went to medical school and have a lot of medical school debt. And, you know, you put loans into deferral, you don't put some into deferral, and you're paying on them every month. That makes a difference. The sad part is the problem with this loan would have been identified immediately by a good lender, a good loan officer. I don't know what this guy did, if he didn't know what he was doing, literally, or he just did not thoroughly look at their file. Because I sent this to I don't know how many other lenders, and they're like, no, we can't do anything, Joe. This guy, they started paying on their loan, so it's not in deferral. So they've got to, what that means is it's being factored against their debt to income. So that may be an extra $600, $700, $800, $900 a month they have to shoulder, in addition to all the other loans that are going to be coming due in the next few years. That creates a problem. And that's why it's very important to work with known quantities, local lenders. They're invested in the community. You know, we're talking about Mike. He participates in local wrestling associations, wrestling teams with his daughter. You know, he meets with the other people. He coaches. He referees. These are the things that you want from a real estate professional, someone who's invested literally and figuratively in the local community. They shop at local stores. They eat at local restaurants. Okay, they go to a local cobbler or seamstress or whatever it is. They're putting money back into the community. When you're working with a company that's halfway across the country, the money that they receive is not getting spent here in Rhode Island. It's getting spent in Missouri or Michigan or wherever they are. Okay.
Yep.
Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, so essentially that's the difference between a pre-qualification and a pre-approval.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a pre-qualification is essentially they're just taking your word for it.
Right.
You know, they're not providing all of the necessary documents to get the full pre-approval, so we can examine every little aspect of the file.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, when you get that pre-approval, okay, then you know that it's much more solid than the pre-qualification. We don't do pre-qualifications at Semper or on the solutions team. We do full pre-approvals, so that way you know that it's good to go, and we anticipate any problems that arise before they become problems.
And so when you say, you know, full pre-approval, you look at all their, like, they've got to provide payment history, like pay stubs, things
Correct.
like that.
Pay stubs, W-2s, bank statements, you know, 401k, tax returns. Every single loan is different. So, you know, because your Uncle Bob got a loan back in 2005, it's not going to be the same that it is now. No two people have the same situation.
Right.
no-to loan is exactly the same because everyone has different jobs, they have different savings, they have different bills. So working with somebody local such as ourselves is a must.
Yeah, exactly. And that, I stress this a lot because, it's a stressful situation. And if you're working with people that know what they're doing, that know how to answer questions, that are communicative, it makes things less stressful. Okay? And then also, we were talking about this too before we came on air. It makes it a lot better too when you, the consumer, the client, are receptive and willing to listen and do what you're being told to do. So if it's you need to do A, B, and C as a prospective borrower, do A, B, and C. If you need to do A, B, and C as a buyer or seller, and A, B, and C, a lot of times what I do is, everybody, we sign things digitally now. I send the documents via email beforehand because what we all do, somebody sends something to me, I open it up on my phone with digital signatures, and everybody just types on their phone, hit the button, initial, sign. And you're not going to read it on your phone. I will email it to you ahead of time as an attachment to an email, so you have to open it, and now it's on the whole screen of your computer. If you still choose not to read it, that's your problem. Okay, I can't help you there. The old horse saying, you can lead a horse to water, you can't make him drink. I do whatever I can. I bring the water right up to you. If you don't want to drink it, that's your problem. But I try to make it as easy for my clients to read the documents before they sign them digitally. And I always say, please let me know if you have any questions. Now, I'm not an attorney, so if you have legal questions, I will refer you to one of my attorney partners to answer your legal questions because I can't dispense with legal advice. Okay, if it's a lease, if it's a purchase and sales contract, I'm not an attorney. And I've had to push back. I've had leases where the tenant, and I represent the tenant, and the tenant is like, Joe, we need to do this, and you need to push this and do that. And I said, listen, I cannot do that because that lease was provided by an attorney. Your attorney has to approve that verbiage on the lease. Because if I'm advising you about verbiage on a lease, that's dispensing with legal advice, and I'm not going to do that because I'm not a lawyer, and I don't want to get fined or penalized at all. Okay, folks, you're listening to the Joe Luca Real Estate Show right here on WNRI 99.9 FM, 1380 on the AM dial. You can also catch us streaming on WNRI.com, and we rebroadcast the show every Saturday at 1 p.m. And you can check out our sponsors, Vern Rainville, Public Insurance Adjuster. Vern is licensed by the state of Rhode Island, 484-300-8495. That's 484-300-8495. Vern Rainville, extraordinaire public insurance adjuster, does a great job. I've referred family, colleagues, friends to him. He does a fantastic job. Vern Rainville, public insurance adjuster, 484-300-8495. Yes, that's not a 401 area code, but Vern is a local guy. He's right here in Northern Rhode Island, so give him a call at 484-300-8495. And of course, Compass Title and Escrow, Anthony Betancourt and his team do an awesome job taking care of our buyers and our sellers of real estate. We refer our clients to them. I hand it off, and they don't have anything to worry about. They answer all the questions leading up to the closing, and then even during the closing, they take care of those questions as well. And at G Metz Moving and Storage, please go to gmetzmoving.com. That's G as in George, M as in Michael, E as in Edward, T as in Tom, Z as in Zebra, moving.com. You can get a price quote for a move or schedule a move at that website, gmetzmoving.com. Because if you're moving furniture from one side of the house to the other, you just need to have items removed while you're having work done in the house, so they're having carpets removed or replaced or hardwoods redone. G-Metz can hook you up because they also have storage facilities. So they could take your furniture out, have the guys come in, sand your floors, refinish your floors, wait for them to dry, and then G-Metz will move everything back in. They're awesome like that. So G Metz Moving and Storage. Please reach out to them if you have any moving needs. Mike, what were you going to say?
Daniel Giroux probably could have used that the other day because he had all of his hardwood floors replaced. And
oh my goodness, I didn't know. Okay.
He was moving his furniture back and forth by himself from one bedroom to another. Just last night.
Yep.
So in and out.
Yeah.
So that would have been great for him.
Right. That definitely would have. So, folks, Mike works at Semper Home Loans on the solutions team. Mike, what's the best way for people to get a hold of you? What is like your phone number for texting, calling, and then your email?
Yep. My phone number is 774-400-7745. That's 774-400-7745. My email is mwaldron@semperhl.com. You can find me on social media, Facebook, TikTok, posting videos of my daughter wrestling.
Yeah, that's right, because you showed me a video, showed me a great video of his 8-year-old daughter wrestling this past weekend.
Yes.
And she took first place, and she was wrestling against a boy,
3 boys.
Okay, well, right, one at a time.
Yeah.
And she won, and she was really, I don't know how else to say it, throwing them around, kind of manhandling them. She does a really good job. I am not a wrestling aficionado. I'm not super knowledgeable about it, but I can certainly appreciate when someone is doing a good job taking care of the opposition. And for an 8-year-old girl, I'll tell you, she was doing a fantastic job, and it was enjoyable to watch.
Yeah, I'm a huge proponent of female self-defense,
yep.
Especially in today's world and everything else. So if she can be able to defend herself and compete athletically, get in shape, that's something that I support wholeheartedly.
Yeah, me too. And this is one of the things I like about Michael, because he is passionate about wrestling, his daughter, and mortgages, passionate about his clients, helping them, and a lot of times you need someone with passion today, because there are a lot of buyers who have to submit a lot of offers before they get one accepted. And sometimes you need to repeat, sometimes you have to renew, get a new pre-approval because your pay stubs and everything are too old. So we've got to resupply stuff before you get an offer accepted. So don't be chagrined, but if that happens, you need to work with someone like a Mike Waldron, the mortgage wrestling dad, because they're dedicated to you being successful in your home search. So, folks, we are coming up to the end of the show. I want to thank our special guest, Michael Waldron from Semper Home Loans, the solutions team. Mike, the best number for people to reach you again?
The best number for me is 774-400-7745.
Awesome. All right, folks, so thank you very much for tuning into the Joe Luca Real Estate Show. We will be back next week, same bat time, same bat channel, talking about real estate, just like we do every Tuesday from 6 to 7 p.m. And oh, by the way, folks, this is my 12th year. I'm beginning my 12th year doing this. I can't believe it's been this long. I love this. I really appreciate everyone who tunes in every Tuesday night and every Saturday afternoon at 1. Thank you to my sponsors, Vern Rainville, Public Insurance Adjuster, 484-300-8495. Compass Title and Escrow, Anthony Betancourt and his team, as well as G Metz Moving and Storage. Please check them out, gmetzmoving.com, and we'll see you next week. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye. Oh, good problem here. Hold on. Let's try this again. Sorry about that.
You're really good at this, Joe.
Yeah, except when I mess things up like I just did. Thank you, everybody.